Holy moly, this thing is 1 BA? What the hell, man? It sounds so good. Hey friends, Team here, welcome back to MV on Gears Audio, and this is Apple's Magic 1, and boy is it actually a Magic 1. It's 1 BA that sounds not like a 1 BA. It has mid bass and it has treble extension. That's mind-blowing. Normally 1 BA really doesn't have both of those in the same driver. And the tuning on this also sounds pretty good as well. It's a warmer tune IEM. It was very familiar sounding the first time I listened to it until I realized it sounded very similar to the Falcon Ultra and Twilight IEM, the two warm IEM that I actually like. So by extension, the Apple Magic 1 is a tuning that I also really vibe with. But in terms of overall tuning, I might actually enjoy the Magic 1 over the Twilight and the Falcon Ultra, simply because this thing has actual good, smooth treble extension. You hear micro nuances from this that you don't quite get with the Twilight or the Falcon Ultra. Now, being that it has more treble, it's not going to be as warm sounding as on the Twilight and on the Ultra as well, so keep that in mind. For me, that's actually a good thing. Less warm is good, more details is good, but yeah, Magic 1's tuning is just very awesome, especially because it's from one BA driver, one wimpy ass BA driver achieved all of this. Apple, you've done some Harry Potter stuff to this IEM right here. Enough gushing about the tuning of it. Let's talk more about the technical performance, because a lot of people are probably wondering about that, right? So let's bring up my scale right here. I would say the Magic 1 lands right around a little bit above the Aria. It's not the highest that an IEM at this price can be. I would say it's rather average for IEM at this price. And the reason being is that bass dynamics is just not quite there. You get amount of bass, but you don't get the thumps and slam, the dynamics. And not only because it has a BA for bass, I don't subscribe to that entirely quite yet, but it just feels overall pillowy and blunted, maybe smooth over. And mid-range is lacking a bit of separation, and that's entirely due to the tuning. Being that it's a warmer style of tuning, the separation is not going to be the greatest in comparison to something more Harman-like. The thing that's propping up the technical performance of the Magic 1 is in the treble. The treble is great. It's smooth, it's nuanced, it's one of the best treble I've heard around this price point. I think the only other one that has this good treble around this price would be the Nova. On to comparison, of course, let's compare the Magic 1 to other IEMs around the price point. First one being the Truthears Nova, since a lot of you are probably deciding between the Nova and the Magic 1 because they're very similar in price. For me, the Nova is your standard good Harman tune IEM. It's clean, it's wide open, it has great treble. The only thing I don't like about the Nova is the balance of the tuning. It has less bass than the Variation, and the Variations to me was already the perfect balance for a Harman IEM. It has just enough sub bass to balance out the amount of upper mid-range it gives. And even then, the Variation is lean and shouty for some of you guys out there. So the Nova coming in with less bass kind of tipped that balance into worse territory. It sounds extra lean and it sounds extra shouty. Comparison to the Magic 1, I would say the Nova is a cleaner, more open sound signature, while the Magic 1 is more of that warm, relaxing, kind of fun style IEM. Completely different tuning. In terms of treble, I think they're very comparable to each other, which is to say, it's amazing. Both Nova and Alpha 1 has probably the best treble, around $150. Oh, including the IE200 into that ringer as well. All three of those IEMs have fantastic treble. Bass quality wise, I prefer the Alpha Magic 1 over the Nova, simply because the Nova doesn't really have a lot of bass and not a lot of mid bass, so bass are not really well defined and not that fun. And the mid-range, I prefer the Nova. I like the clean, clear mid-range of the Nova more. But again, up to preferences because these two IEM are tuned completely differently. Next comparison is the IE200, which has a similar bass profile as on the Nova with a sub-bass focus, but it has a lot more sub-bass and a little bit more mid-bass, so it's more filled in than the Nova, and definitely not a lean sounding IEM. It has a lot of treble, which is the wow factor, smooth and a lot of micro nuances in the IE200. In comparison to the awful Magic 1, it cannot be a more different style of tuning. The Magic 1 is very intimate, is warm, is relaxing, while the IE200 is fun, is sparkly, is rumbly. It's a completely different style of tuning, up to taste. Mid-range wise, I would say they're a tie because I like some things about the Magic 1, don't like some things. I like some things about the IE200, don't like some things. Treble wise, I would say they're on par. They both have great treble in their own way. Alright, that's it for my review of the awful Magic 1, and my final verdict for it is it gets a halfway green thumbs up. It's a warm tune IEM that actually sounds very good. It has good treble extension for once for this kind of signature, and it's not something that's easy to find at all. Warm signatures are very tough to balance for it to sound decent, and for me there's only been Twilight, Falcon Ultra, and the awful Magic 1 that has done it for me. If you like a warm tune IEM, these three are your best choices. Magic 1 would be the cheapest one. If you want the one with the best bass quality, you would go for either the Ultra or the Twilight. Though the Twilight I wouldn't recommend just based on price alone of $930 is quite ridiculous. So I would pick between the Magic 1 or the Falcon Ultra. If you want better bass, Falcon Ultra. If you want cheaper and better treble extension, you'd go Magic 1. Needless to say, I'm thoroughly impressed. And one more thing I'm impressed with before we go today, it looks so damn beautiful, doesn't it? The cable, the shell, and also, oh, fit and comfort, phenomenal fit and comfort as well. All right, enough gushing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Bye.